Alright, I'm going to go over a little piece of this digital notebook. It's over A Smarter Way to Learn JavaScript by Mark Myers, and it's about halfway through the library book, and I still have a long way to go, but I'm going to take it back. Anyway, on chapter 37, I created 3 different demo buttons and different outputs. So let's go over the HTML code. Over here, doc type HTML starts us off, then our opening HTML tag, our opening head tag. This tag is a link for our shortcut icon, link rel equals shortcut icon, href equals small.ico, type equals image /x icon. You don't actually see the icon because this is opening up in the launching page. But if I were to open it up by itself in the browser, you'd see this little smile face, where here you see the title that says index on the landing page, and then you see this little logo that I created in Paint. Well, in this particular page, you would see a little smiley face up there. Then their title that you don't also see is Demo 37 Functions, Passing Them Data. In the landing page it says index, but in this particular page it would say that. Then next we have a link to an external style sheet, which I'm not going to go over the styles, but this is how you link to an external style sheet. Link rel equals style sheet, type equals text /css, href equals style.css. That's what I named my external style sheet. You can call yours whatever you want, and you can style your page however you want. This script tag right here links us to an external JavaScript, which I am going to go over the JavaScript. That's going to be over here in the right hand side. Script language equals JavaScript, src for source equals 37.js, and script end head. Body, and we're going to start with our body of the page, and it starts off with a wrapper tag. In the wrapper tag, I have a style that gives us this background of tan and this border of a black thick border. But you style yours however you want, or don't even use a wrapper if you don't want to. Next, I have an opening and closing left tag, left 3 actually, and that has a gray border. I think it's got a width of about 30%, or somewhere between 30 and 33%, because I've got 3 of these in a row. Again, style this however you want. Then inside the left 3 tags, I have a button with an ID of G. I styled my £G for the button with a green background and rounded corners. You can style yours however. The onClick equals 1 means that when you click this Demo 1 button, it's going to call a function in here in the JavaScript that has the name of 1. The face of the button says Demo 1, which you can see right here, and there's a couple of break tags that give us a couple of spaces before the end of the button. And then there's the end of the button, and then here's a div with a class equals Demo 1, and here's the end div tag and the end left 3, and inside the div opening and closing tags we have all these p elements. PID equals 0, and all the way down to PID equals 8. And every opening and closing paragraph element tag has a couple of dashes in here, so that's how you see all of these. So that's this button and div with the paragraph elements inside. Let's look at our JavaScript. The /* starts a note, and the */ ends the note. So the first note that I gave myself in my JavaScript file says this external function gets called from inside of function 1. So we're not doing function 1 yet, we're doing another function called function show number, and it's got a single parameter inside the parentheses with the name of ZZ. So function show number ZZ. The first thing we do is we show an alert box that has the value of ZZ, and then we have document.getElementById 0.innerHTML equals ZZ. So whatever the value of ZZ is, which we will create the value of that when we go to function 1, because we're going to call this show number function, and then we're going to put something in here. Instead of ZZ, we're going to put the replacement to ZZ, which is going to be called the argument to this parameter. Okay, so let's go on ahead and look at the next note I've got. This calls external function show number ZZ. And there's the end of that note. And here is function 1. The first thing that happens in function 1, var almost a million equals 999,999. So we're creating a variable and we're giving it a value. Then we're calling that function show number, and inside, instead of it saying ZZ, the parameter ZZ, we're going to give it an argument. This argument is the variable almost a million, which we gave a value up here of 999,999. Then we take almost a million equals, well actually if I go back to show number, go back to this show number with 999,999 as the value, then that function creates an alert box, and I told you that the argument is 999,999, and then document.getElement, so the alert box will give that value, and then document.getElement by ID 0, which is this first paragraph here, .innerHTML equals ZZ. The value of ZZ again is 999,999. So you'll see that number in alert box, and then you'll see it in this paragraph with the ID of 0 by calling this function from function 1, which gets called by the button click of demo 1. Alright, so I showed you that in this. Now let's go down to changing almost a million. Let's change that variable to something else. We already created it using the var keyword, so now we can use it and change it to anything we want after the fact. So the variable is called almost a million equals, now we're going to create a prompt box. The prompt box is going to say, now give me your own number. So whatever we type in, whatever the user types in after seeing now give me your own number box, it's going to go into the value almost a million. So then down here we're going to call show number again, and here the argument to the ZZ parameter is going to be the value of almost a million, which again it's going to be whatever you type after this prompt box, and then it's going to be concatenated with the string is what you just typed, and that's going to be end of function 1. Okay, so I showed you two functions. Demo 1's going to call function 1, and function 1 is going to call show number 2 different times. So we'll click the demo 1, you see 999,999 in the alert box, hit OK, and then over here in the document getElement by ID 0, we also get that value, and then we get a prompt box that says now give me your own number. So I'm going to put 123123, click OK. I get the alert box spitting out 123123 is what you just typed. I click OK, and then 123123 is what you just typed, replaces that in the document.getElement by ID 0. Okay, so now let's go to the demo 2, which let's go down our HTML web page. I have a tag called middle 3. Again, it's got an external style of probably the 33%, somewhere between 30 and 33% wide. It's got this gray border, and then inside of middle 3 we have a button with an ID of B. B has got a style with a background of blue and rounded corners and so on and so forth. On click, when you click this button, we are going to call the function with a name of 2. The face of the button has the words demo 2 on it, which you can see, a couple of break tags, which gives us a couple of spaces after the text before the button closes, and then the end of the button. Then we have a div with a class equal to demo 2, an ID equal to X, and a style equal to display none. That means that the div underneath this button is going to be invisible. Display none means you cannot see the display. Inside of that div, there's a paragraph, a P with an ID equals here, and then I quickly typed in ASDF and then the end of the P tag. Well, because the P tag is nested inside of this div that has a style of display none, that also makes the P that's nested inside invisible as well. Alright, so there's the end of the div, the end of the P tag, the end of the div, the end of the middle 3. So now let's see what functions deals with this demo 2 button. Alright, first we had show number ZZ, then we had function 1. Now we're going to have another external function. There's another note to myself. Function parameters are m, comma, string, comma, and num. So here's a function that's going to have 3 parameters. Instead of just function parentheses zz, that's one parameter. This has function, the name is show message, and in parentheses here you have m, comma, string, comma, num. So we have m is one parameter, string is another parameter, and num is a third parameter. So the first thing that's going to happen there is we have an alert box that is going to give us the value of m, plus the value of string, plus the value of num. Instead of just alert zz, we have these 3 parameters. The next way we're going to display the output is we're going to take document.getElementById by ID 4. This time up here was the p with a value of 0. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we have the ID of 4, so this is where this output is going to display. Document.getElementById by ID 4.innerHTML equals m, the value of m plus the value of string plus the value of num. So I have the alert box with those 3 things and a document.getElementById by ID to also put it there. Next, we're going to take document.getElementById by ID 4 and .style.color equals blue. So when this output shows, it's going to be blue. Next, we have document.getElementById by ID x, which is referring to the div that was underneath this blue button that was invisible. We're going to take that x.style.display equals black. So now it's visible again. Then document.getElementById by ID here, which is the ID of the p that was inside of the div, .innerHTML equals m, the value of m plus the value of string plus the value of num. So you're going to have an alert box that tells you the value of those 3 things. You're going to put it right here in this paragraph with the ID of 4, and you're also going to stick it in this paragraph with the ID of here that's currently invisible. Okay, so that's that function. Now here's another note. This function calls the external function show message with m, comma, string, comma, num. The arguments for the show message function are the variable month with the value of March, a string, apostrophe s winning number is, and the number 23. So that ends that note. Now function 2, very short, var month equals March. So we're creating a variable called month and we're giving it a value of March. Then we're calling the show message function. And here we are giving 3 arguments that will replace the 3 parameters for show message. The variable month, which here we created with the value of March. So the month March is going to show there. And then the string is just in double quotes. That's the apostrophe s winning number is, and then a comma, and then just simply the number that we want to give for the value of num, which is 23. And that's going to end the function 2. So we have showed 2 functions that the demo 2 button is going to deal with. First it's going to call 2. 2 is going to call show message, and function show message up here has 3 parameters. Function 2 is going to answer those 3 parameters with 3 arguments that will match. So let's click demo 2. March's winning number is 23. There's our alert box. Hit OK, and both the paragraph with the ID of 4 and the paragraph with the ID of, what did I say this? Demo, what did I say this? Here, with the ID of here. Also, the color is lime as well. It's document.getElementById here, .style.color equals lime. So you see that's a lime color. So we got my output there and in the alert box. Now let's go to demo 3 section of the web page. So we go down here. I have a tag called write3, and again that has to do with this gray boxy border. And on the inside of it, we have a button with the ID of P. P is colorizing the button. OnClick equals 3 means when you click the button, it's going to call the function with the name of 3. Demo 3 is on the face of the button. and break, so we get a little space before the bottom of the button, and then P with an ID equals demo3, style equals display none. You have a couple of dashes here and a P. What this does is it makes this paragraph invisible. Before, here, we had a paragraph inside a div. The div was styled as display none, which meant that anything inside of the div was also invisible until you made that div visible. Here, we don't have a separate div. We just have the paragraph itself, and we just made that element itself have the style of display of none. All right, and because the display is none, you don't see these dashes that you would normally see if the display was block. And there's the end of the write 3 tag, the end of the wrapper, the end of the body, the end of HTML. So that's all there is to the contents or the elements of this web page that you see right here with the background of tan. So let's look at the last two functions that this demo 3 button deals with. Remember, you click it. When you click it, it calls the function called 3, but the function 3 calls another function, which we're going to go over right now. Here's my note. This function calls the external function show message m comma string comma num. The arguments for show message function are the variable of month. Wait, I already did these. This is for function 2. Here, this is where I am now. You can change the element style in any of the functions. So here's the third external function. Not function 1, function 2, or function 3, but a third external function that function 3 is going to call. So function user input message. This is also going to have 3 parameters, m comma string comma num. But here we have a different name. We have user input message, whereas the other one was called show message. So different function name, even though the parameters are the same. Okay. Function user input message, m comma string comma num. Here's another comment to myself, 2 ways to display output, which we've already been doing. We have an alert box, and the alert box is going to have what's contained inside of this parentheses, the value of m, plus a \n to go down to another line, and that's in double quotes, plus string, the value of string, plus another \n in double quotes, so we go down another line, plus the value of num. Then we're going to display it, so it's going to display that in the alert box, but we're also going to display it way down here. This is a paragraph with an ID of 8. So document.getElementById 8.innerHTML equals, there's that m again, so the value of m, plus a break tag. This time, instead of using a \n in double quotes, we're using a break tag in double quotes, plus string, so the value of string, plus, and then another break tag in double quotes, plus the value of num. Okay, so now we got 2 things happening. We're getting all 3 of those things, first in alert box, then then down here, and then finally we're going to end up having it show underneath the purple demo 3 button as well. Actually, only if there's a match, because we have a couple other things going on here. So change the CSS style like this. We are going to change a style of the output of this paragraph with the ID of 8. Document.getElementById 8.style.color equals purple. So here it was white, originally white, then we changed it to blue for the blue button, and now when we click the purple button, the output here will be purple. Document.getElementById demo 3, that style.display equals block, so that paragraph that was originally given the display of none will now be visible because it will get the display of block. And then document.getElementById 8.style.textAlign equals right. So instead of like these two, the white one and the blue one are kind of centered, this will be kind of aligned to the right. Document.getElementById 8.style.fontFamily equals cursive. So we're going to get a different font family. It's going to be purple, it's going to be aligned to the right, it's going to be a different font, it's going to look kind of cursive. Then we're going to change in again, document.getElementById 8.style.fontSize equals 30 pixels. So it's going to be larger than the white and the blue output. And then document.getElementById 8.style.padding equals 20 pixels. So we're going to give it more sponge room in between the text and the element that it's inside of. Okay, so now here's another note to myself. You call external function user input message and create the arguments to the function's parameters. Okay, so this is what we're going to do with function 3. When you click demo 3, this is the function it's actually going to call. The first thing we're going to do, which is different than these two buttons, when I click demo 1 again, it goes, all of this information stays here from the last pass of the function. So I click OK, now give me your own number. I can, give it a bunch of 4s, OK, blah blah blah, and now it has 4s. I click demo 1, see none of this stuff disappeared and didn't start off fresh. It held on to the last function's data. Okay, so then when I click demo 1, I just go through the whole thing again and again, blah blah blah. Demo 2, same thing. The demo 2 isn't asking us to do anything. All this is hard-coded, and so nothing changes there either. When you click demo 2, nothing disappears and starts over from fresh. It still has the last functionality here. What I want with demo 3 is I want to run it, but if I click demo 3 again, I want to start off fresh with nothing here and nothing down here. So in order to do that, my node is default to empty and invisible between program execution of button clicks. So the first thing I do for function 3 is I take document.getElementById demo3.style.display equals none. This ensures that when I click this button, whatever was here is going to make the display none, so it will be invisible again. The next one, document.getElementById demo3.innerHTML equals, and then just an empty set of double quotes. So that means that there's no value. It's invisible and it's empty, that paragraph with the ID of demo 3. Then I've got demo.getElementById 8, which now we're talking about this way down here, .innerHTML equals, and I'm just going to put what it started with, and that's a dash, double dash there, in a string in double quotes. Then document.getElementById 8, we're talking about this again, .style.textAlign equals center. So instead of it floating to the right, having a text align to the right, it's going to go back to the center because that's how it originated. Document.getElementById 8.style.fontFamily equals sans serif. When we click the demo 3, it will change this to cursive, but then when I click demo 3 again, it'll change it back to sans serif. Okay, the next reset is document.getElementById 8.style.fontsize is 20 pixels, because when we first run this and do some things, it changes this to purple, it makes it text align to right, it makes it larger, it makes it 30 pixels, so we want to reset it by resetting it to the original 20 pixels. Document.getElementById 8.style.padding is 0 pixels. So originally when we changed this to purple and way over here to the right and larger and cursive, we also gave it a larger padding. So we want to take that padding back to 0 pixels so that it stays lined up the way it started. Document.getElementById 8.style.color equals white. Because once we run this once, it's going to turn this purple. When we click this again, we want to turn this double dash back to a white color like it is now. Okay, so all of these things that I just went over are basically setting certain things to default original values before it runs the rest of the program, which that rest of that program starts right here. var month x equals prompt, what is the month? So we're going to get a prompt box that's going to ask us what is the month. We're going to type in a month, and that's going to go into this variable called month x. We're going to do it again with string x. Var string x equals prompt, what is the string? So then the user, or us in this case, we're going to type something that is a string, and whatever we type is going to go into this variable called string x. We're going to do it again with number x. Var number x equals prompt, what is the number? I'm going to type in a number, and I don't have any error trapping here, so you could actually type in anything and it's going to go into the value of this variable. So even though it says what is the number, if I type in a bunch of letters, then the value of number x is going to be whatever I type in. Again, I don't have error trapping to stop the user from typing in junk. But we're going to do the right thing just for the sake of this simplicity. Then I'm going to call that function user input message. Now that I've created month X, string X, and number X based on what we type in those prompt boxes, our user input message function is going to give those variables month X, comma, string X, comma, number X. So whatever we type in is now going to be used as arguments to user input message's original parameters. After that, we are going to create a variable called MSG for message, var MSG equals, and then nothing in double quotes. So we're going to create a variable called message, and it's going to be nothing, an empty string. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to ask an if condition. If month X, which is what we typed in up here, is equal to the text July, if that's true, if you happen to type in July when it's asking you what is the month, if that's true, then we're going to take MSG, which originally has a value of an empty string, and we're going to give it the value of month X, which you typed in July, plus was a match. So message is going to be valued as July was a match, and then a break tag, which means it's going to give us, it's going to go down to the next line. Then we're going to get an alert box that gives us the value, which again, if this is true, then month X is going to be July. July was a match. It's going to show up in an alert box. And lastly, document.getElement by ID demo 3, which is the currently invisible paragraph in there, dot inner HTML equals message. So again, even here it will show July was a match. All right. If that's false, if you don't type in July for what is a month, then it's going to ignore all the stuff inside of these curly braces, and it's going to ask itself the next condition. If string X is equal to hi, if string X equal, the text string hi, if it says what is the string in the prompt box and you typed in hi, then this is going to be true. So then it's going to take whatever the value of MSG is, which could either be an empty string or it could be the value July as a match. If it is a July as a match, then it's going to concatenate. It's going to say plus equals, so it's going to add on to what message was if July was a match, and with the value of string X plus was a match. So first it will say July is a match, then it will say hi is a match, and then another break tag to go down another line. The alert box will say hi was a match. Document.getElement by ID demo 3, which is right in here, will inner HTML will say the one or two matches, whatever the value of MSG is, whether it's July was a match, hi was a match, or both. Now it asks yet another condition. If number X equal, so if number X is equal to 10, when it asks you what is the number, if you typed in 10, then that's another match. If that's the case, then MSG plus equals the value of number X, which would be 10, was a match, and then a break tag. So then message could have one match, it could have two matches, or it could have all three matches into the value of MSG, and each one of those will have a break tag, so it will go down a line for each part of the message. The alert box will give us the value of number X, which if it's a match, it'll be 10. So 10 was a match in the alert box. Then document.getElement by ID demo 3, which is that paragraph under the purple button, .inner HTML equals message. So at this point, if all three things were matches, then MSG in here will show all three of those as being matches. Else means this is like a default. So if this is not true, then all this gets ignored. If all of the if conditions are not true, they all get ignored, but the else does not get ignored. This will execute. And that means document dot get element by ID demo 3 dot inner HTML equals no matches. So if none of those if conditions are true, then what's going to pop up here is the sentence, the string no matches, and then end function 3. So that's the end of function 3, and function 3 again cleared everything out. So each time we hit the demo 3 button, we start over fresh. And then it called, it, it, it changed all this stuff to default values. It created month X, string X, and number X, and wanted you as a user to type in the prompts to give all the 3 of these variables values. Then it used those values inside of the other method called user input message. And then it used if conditions to see if any of those 3 things that you typed in happened to match. And then depending on if they matched or not, it output a message. And put that underneath the purple button. So let's run it. Click demo 3. What is the month? Let's do some matching. Let's do July and click OK. What is the string? Let's match that. Let's click high. And what is the number? Let's click in 10 and match that as well. Now, first of all, we get the alert box with July, and then it breaks down to the next high, and it breaks down to the next, and then 10. You click OK, and then down here you have July, goes down to the next line, high, goes down to the next line, 10. Down here in the P with the ID of 8. Then we get July was a match, click OK, and then here it reiterates that July was a match, high was a match, click OK, high was a match, 10 was a match, click OK, 10 was a match. So now we have shown the output in an alert box and in a paragraph with a certain ID over here, and changed some style through our function, and then also created a paragraph that was initially invisible, and as long as there were matches, we were told what was a match. Here we didn't talk about what was a match, we just see what we typed in. Here we actually added the string was a match to each of those. Now when I click demo 3 again, this should disappear and this should disappear. This section should go back to normal and this section should go back to normal. See? Nothing there. This starts back the way it did when we first started, so it looks all fresh and new, which these two do not do. These two do not get rid of previous information. This one does. What is the month? Let's not match it now. What is the month? June. What is the string? BOLOGNY. Baloney. And what is the number? 456. Okay. June Baloney 456 outputs. Click OK. June Baloney 456 outputs here. And since none of those were matches, our else document.getElement by ID demo3.enter HTML equals no matches. No matches. And that's the end of the function. We click demo 3 again. That disappears. This goes back to normal, and it goes through the entire execution all over again. And so you can keep doing this as many times as you want, and this will disappear and this will disappear. If I wanted demo 1 and demo 2 to react in the same way that demo 3 would, let me hit cancel and get out of here. Since I didn't put anything in, they all have null values, and then it shows null here and no matches. But what all I would have to do would be at the beginning of function 1 and function 2 do stuff like this. This was function 3. I would have to default to empty and invisible. Document.getElement by ID demo 3. It wouldn't be demo 3 though, it would be the paragraph and the div that this is referring to. I would just set the inner HTML to nothing, or I would set it to the style.display equals none, so that this whole blue block would just disappear. And same thing with this demo 1. I would just have to clear all this stuff out and then make the output back to 2 dashes instead of this. Alrighty. With that, I believe we are finished. Yeah.